Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. You have made it to another episode of Pickup Lines. It is the talk show in a car. And as I always say, if the car moves, something's wrong. We're not going anywhere. We're going to sit right here with the former First Lady of San Antonio, Erika Prosper Nirenberg. That's one title.
Yes.
You've got several titles.
Yeah, mom.
Mom, wife, former First Lady, executive.
Latina executive.
Fashionista.
Oh, I'm only looking this good because I was hanging out with Michael Quintanilla.
She was just with Michael Quintanilla, Mr. Fiesta, and that guy, one of these days I'm going to go see his closet and see that everything that he has.
I'm going to be right behind you. And hopefully I'm going to borrow stuff from his closet.
Exactly, which reminds me, I need to have him on Pickup Lines as well. But I'm thrilled to have you here because I know I've wanted to have this conversation for a long time, even when you were the First Lady, and life happens and schedules and this and that and everything. Mm-hmm. But typically I like to start kind of at the beginning and work my way up kind of chronologically. And let's face it, I mean, you're married to the former mayor of San Antonio. Mm-hmm. Great story, 7th largest city in the country, et cetera, et cetera. I think I could make a compelling argument that your story is even better than his.
Oh, really?
Well, in terms of where you came from and what you've become.
Yeah, well, I came from the Rio Grande Valley.
Was it Weslaco is where you were born?
Weslaco, and I always do the 956 shout out to all my Valleyites looking out there. You know, and yes, I'm a former farm. Well, actually, I'm not a farmer. I'm a farm worker. I identify as a farm worker. I don't put it as farmer because it's such an important part of who I am.
You still hold on to that?
I do.
Because it was very tough.
It wasn't just tough, but I think what it does is as a child, it forces you to think of like, how are you going to just keep going, right? So in the heat, in days you didn't want to wake up, in days where you knew that your friends were having a great time at the beach and here you are in the field. So it gives you a resiliency that I didn't realize was so important to me until I got really an adult and had my own child.
Were you 5 years old when you started out in the field?
Yeah.
Like kindergartner age?
I was pre-K even, I think. But and it's funny because I have memories of it being fun. Because when you're a child and you're basically just running up and down with your family, right? You don't realize
your family was there,
work.
True.
Yeah, you don't realize it's work, but I was in charge of bringing the tijeras,
scissors,
up and down to people who needed them, or waters when I was little. And then as I got older and I was able to actually hold scissors or a hoe, I was then put to actual work.
Onions, I know you picked, or you grab onions and then you tap them, you knock the soil off?
So the key is you grab 2 at a time, knock them together, put them on one hand, snap, snap, dump them in the can, right? Snap the dirt off, and then snap to get to, and that's how you would get, because we would be paid by the bucket, and it was 50 cents a bucket. So you had to fill this bucket, and if you did not fill it up and basically and then you kept track, you wouldn't get paid. So it was a family thing, because if you think about it, there were, like, on average, you have 6 people, maybe some tios, some tias, nephews per family, and then together as a family, or maybe 4 or 5 families. You had almost 24 people out there filling buckets, and you could make a pretty decent living by the end of the season.
And these are all cousins, like primos and primas?
Yes, tios, tias, primos, primas, ahijados, you call it. We were all out there together. I think that's the other part that was also great is, I had a very close-knit family because of it.
I mean, you literally had to, be in this together. And I had read that for a long time you held some resentment or some, I don't know if shame is the word, but you were kind of bitter about that whole thing.
I was. I think as you get older and you're a teenager and you start to compare yourself, because that comparison is really an evil thing. But, you're a teenager. You start to compare your life with your friends' lives, and you start to become really resentful of the fact that you can't do what others can. And then I would go to school and my fingers would be covered in onion juice, which is, by the way, stains yellow. And I'd be so ashamed to have people see it. And so it was. You
would bite your nails, right?
I would, so you couldn't see it. And so I could get to the dirt sometimes.
Oh,
yeah.
Erika.
Yeah, I mean, it's life. I mean, I'm not unique. There are so many other people that have gone through the same thing and continue to go through the same thing. Remember, your food is still brought to you by people that have that lifestyle.
That's a very good reminder.
Yeah.
So Prosper is your maiden name, obviously.
It is. I don't know. Some French dude got jiggy with it with some Mexicana somewhere. I have no idea. I'm not kidding. My parents, my birth parents, they got divorced when I was an infant. So I never met my father. I never really knew anything about his family. So the
Do you
only
know if
thing
he's
he
around
left
still?
me, I remember maybe 10 years ago, somebody reached out to me to let me know he was in Wisconsin, but I never met him. So I don't know. I think it was like medical. They wanted to just let me know, like some medical
Okay.
information
But did
about
you ever
him.
have a desire as you got older to seek him out?
Maybe when I was about 15, I
Yeah.
got curious because everyone kept saying I look like my father, not like my mother. And my mother's real güerita. She has green eyes. She's a beautiful woman.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was always like, I'm over here, the prieta, right? At least that's what they used to nickname me. And so I was curious around age 15, like every girl is, like, what's my origin? But I never really, I don't think, I think it was short lived.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so personally, I think that the blessing he did give me was this amazing last name, because honestly, it was a name that I think always surprised people. Because if you think about the name Erika Prosper, you're not thinking of a chaparrita brown girl, from the valley. You're thinking of a whole other image when you hear that name. And so I think it was the power of walking into a room and having people realize, oh, like, this does not go with the name, and giving me the opportunity then to basically, like, show them who I am.
But I mean, literally, it means to prosper means like to do well. And
those of you that are old enough to know what this is, right?
Okay.
Live long and, man.
Thank you. The Vulcan neck pinch is coming next here. That's a Star Trek reference, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, so we're bouncing around because you had a rough childhood, to say the least. You said so you didn't know your father. I know you were one of 4.
I have 3 half sisters.
And then your mother and your stepfather eventually separated
as well.
And your mom went through a tough time.
She did. I think, now on this end of it, I realize my mother was probably in a depression.
Sure.
And when you're a single mother and you're having to take care of 4 daughters by yourself at that point.
4 girls.
And you yourself have had a life where you were dictated everything too, and everything. And I mean, we talk about midlife crises,
right?
And when you couple that with an emotional crisis, you make some bad choices sometimes as an adult. And so my mother went through a rough time where she made some very bad choices that prompted me to end up in a foster system. And with foster parents, or a foster home, I should say.
Right.
And so I was 17 when I had to take when I was put or not placed.
You were placed.
I was placed.
Yeah.
Right. And so so that also, I think, really gave me a whole other perspective, to feel like you don't have a home. You're homeless for a bit, you're aimless, and what do your roots become, right? At that point,
your identity.
Yeah, your identity, but also, like, who do you surround yourself with? And that's when I was introduced to this whole idea of a chosen family, right? And like, who do you surround yourself with? What matters? And it opened up my world to be able to understand the value of good friends, of finding people in your life that are those rocks, that are stable. I'm still close. My mother and I reconciled 10 years later.
Because she's still around?
She's still around. And remember, I have 3 sisters.
Yes.
And I think her losing me ended up prompting a lot of changes in her. And so
it's a wake-up call.
Yeah. So she kind of did what she needed to do for my other sisters. And we reconciled, but it's obviously not a mother-daughter relationship. It's more like a tia relationship. And so I'm very close, and I remain very close with my grandmother, her mother, who just passed away.
I saw she was 101 years old. 101. Is that right?
She just passed away in 2025.
God bless her.
Yep.
And is your mother in this area?
No, everyone's in the valley.
Still in the valley.
All my family's still in the valley.
Oh my goodness! I told you the story was amazing, and we've barely just tipped the tip of the iceberg. But we're going to step aside for a minute. Come right back with much more. Erika Prosper Nirenberg is our guest here on Pickup Lines. Don't go away. Back with the former First Lady of San Antonio, and we'll talk about her current job, which she's had for a long time, and she's a bigwig exec at HEB, which we'll get to here a little bit. But back to, you said you were adopted, if you will, like legally adopted in your 20s, right?
In my 20s, so
like on paper.
On paper, the foster family that gave me the home and let me stay with them and watched over me through college. They didn't have children of their own together. And so in my 20s, they asked me, they didn't have to, I was an adult, and they asked if I would not mind being formally adopted and become their daughter. And, you know, again, at that point, I think I had seen them, and they had become parents. It was a whole other side of parenting I'd never seen.
Right.
Up until the age of 17, my entire worldview of parenting had really been a struggle, had been, you know, a point of view of what many people see of what poverty does to families and scarcity does. And then here was this couple. There were teachers in the middle class. They were from from Missouri and Tennessee, and they're a very different cultural background because they're Anglo, they're white.
Sure. The Grays,
they're white. And so this whole bicultural, I really understood what biculturalism meant at that point.
Right.
And when I was 23, I agreed because I could see that I had become, I grew to love them in those 7 years. And I felt like this was God somehow doing something for them and for me to heal.
But you kept the Prosper name.
I did, because to be fair, I like the roots. At that point in my 20s, when they asked me, I had already started studying what Latino identity meant in college. And I had already done my thesis on what are the things that drive Latinos to identify. And honestly, your family history, it becomes a super important part of your identity. That's why in Mexico, it's like I would have been Erika Nirenberg de Prosper, right? Because you keep the roots of your maternal family. And so I did not feel
of Prosper,
I did not feel like I felt like shedding that name would have shed my tie to that life that I told you was so important to me.
So you touched on the thesis and the education. So you have 3 degrees?
Yes, I do.
And you graduated
technically 4, but yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you. The last one is an executive degree from the Booth School of Business at the University of Chicago.
Okay. No, that counts. That counts. So 4 degrees. You graduated top 5 in your high school class?
I did. I was 5th, in fact.
It's amazing to me that despite all of the migrant work, the trouble at home, the broken home, mom and dad separating, stepdad and mom separating, that education was still there. Because it was your stepdad that ultimately stepped in.
Yes.
No pun intended, but he kind of saw to it that you pursued your education.
Yeah, when I was 15, there was an opportunity at the time, and I think the state still offers it, to do some vocational work in the summer for you to get paid.
Yeah.
And they offered me a position, and I didn't have to go to the fields. I didn't have to leave school to go the summer trek, right?
Yes.
And my mother didn't feel comfortable leaving me behind, but it was my stepfather at the time that said, you know what, let her, because that way she can finish the school year. We don't take her out early. And so that was the first time that I was able to finish a school year completely and understand again the value of education. In this case, it was an alternative education because it was a vocational education.
Correct.
I did learn how to paint a car and weld that summer. Yep. I mean, in a pinch, you never know.
Well, you probably know more about auto mechanics than I do. That's for sure. That's just amazing to me. And you, 1 degree was not enough. And then you ultimately went to Penn, which is where you met your husband, an Ivy League school.
Yeah, that I did not know was Ivy League.
But why? How did you get to Penn? Or that seems like so far away from Weslaco.
Well, I went to UT Austin for my undergrads,
right.
And I had, because of the really interesting, complicated background we just talked about.
Yes.
I got more and more fascinated with how people form their identities. And so when I went to Texas, I got, one of my degrees is in liberal arts, an honors liberal arts program, Plan 2. The other one was in marketing and advertising, because I knew that persuasion was somehow involved in your identity.
Yes.
So I studied that. I became also kind of half obsessed with Lionel Sosa, who would later become my boss.
Your mentor.
My mentor as well. And so, but I studied identity the entire time, Latino identity through the marketing lens, Latino identity. So I ended up at Penn because they had a really amazingly great intercultural communications program at UPenn through the Annenberg School.
Lorraine Pulido told me about that.
Yes. And I wanted to keep studying that. And eventually that became looking at identity formation through political decisions and identical formation through not just marketing, but what are those parts of familial life that form your identity? And you could see how all that together basically just makes a curious person,
Right. So you went there for another degree. You probably did not plan to
live with a husband.
And your husband sat in this seat. It was on Valentine's Day of 2023. 2004, I believe, when he was
cool.
here at City Hall, and he was still mayor, obviously. But he told a story,
Oh.
and I know you've told it as well before, where he pursued you, you rejected,
Yes.
and I believe you guys went out one time, and he told me that night.
Yeah, that was it for me.
But that night he told the cab driver who took him home, I think.
Oh, no, we didn't even go out. I was in charge of him because he was a prospective student. I was the one that was assigned to him. So I was doing my duty. I left him with the cab and I was like, all right, my duty's done. That kid needs to go home. And he's the one that turned around and told the cab driver, yeah, the cab driver said like, oh, she's cute. Are you going to marry her? And he was like, I think I will.
And that was it.
But a year later, after he finally convinced me to go out with him, it was only took him one date though. And the secret was his bathroom was spotless. Guys, women
Really?
will check out your bathroom. He had the care he showed to ensure that bathroom was clean so I would be comfortable in his bathroom. I remember thinking, not only is this spotless, which is an indicator of someone you do want to potentially marry, but also the fact that he went out of his way to clean it before I came also showed thoughtfulness.
Does he still do that at home?
Yes, he still does the dishes.
To this day.
Does the laundry. He is really hardcore about keeping the house clean.
Well, for the moment, he has more time to do those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But I heard, though, that fashion, he was not the best. I mean, you're a fashion person, obviously. But that he left a lot to be desired in the fashion. And he said something about a letter or something with his hair.
Oh, yeah.
Was there an ultimatum or a letter or something?
Okay, so before I agreed to go out with him that first time, I made him I told him, okay, so I said, he kept asking. I finally said, you know what? Like, fine, I'll go out with you, but sign a contract that you're going to basically like cut your hair and change your clothes. Because he was dressed like the 70s with polyester shirts and bell bottoms. And it was the year 2000.
He was not as ripped as he was.
And I thought,
yes.
there's no way he's going to want to go out with a lady who's making him sign a contract to cut his hair. I think for me, it was like, I'm going to get rid of this guy by making like no way. And so the next day, that son of a gun walks in and his hair is short. Like it was mop toppy, but
Okay.
he used to have long curly hair.
Yeah.
And again, remember polyester shirts and bell bottoms. He walked in with a like now the Japanese those guys from the K-pop Demon Hunter
yes,
short but then floppy up here, and then he'd
Yep.
gone to the Gap, and the Gap was really cool in the late 90s. He had gone to the Gap, and I remember being like, wait, what is this? What's
Who's this
going
guy?
on?
Who's this guy?
It was. I was suddenly like, whoa, when did he get hot?
That is pretty,
That plus the bathroom.
plus the bathroom. Is it true that you or he still has that letter?
Yeah, he still has it.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
In the most respectful way possible. I've heard people comment about your husband's looks and find him very attractive and handsome and everything.
I think in layman terms, I think he's asking, how do I feel about people saying he's hot?
Right.
I think it's great. I was actually just mentioning to Michael that I think,
Quintanilla, yes.
yeah, Michael Quintanilla, that I actually think it's wonderful because that lets me, I have a trophy husband, and that lets me really be excited for him. But I also think you've been around him long enough. I don't think he realizes that he's handsome as he is.
Okay.
I think he gets really still embarrassed about it. I sneak in videos of him working out.
Well, tell him to stop working out then. He won't have that problem.
But he does it for mental health.
That's
and
good.
I'm sure he shared that with you. For him, people do different things. I like to go to movies. That's my mental health care. I go to movies. I watch movies. He works out.
Yeah, no, well, it's obviously served him well. All right, we're going to stop right there. We still have more to get to here with Erika Prosper Nirenberg. Just a fascinating conversation, and we'll be back with that after a break. All right, back with a few more minutes here with Erika Prosper Nirenberg, the former First Lady of San Antonio. And I mentioned you've worked at HEB for a long time. Mm-hmm. It's Senior Director of Customer Insights. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, that's a fancy way to say I have the privilege of leading a team who talks to our customers on a daily basis.
And you did all of this while you were First Lady. And
yes, I never stopped working,
right.
y'all. I mean, remember, every 2 years, you guys could have fired my husband. So one of us needed to have a job.
Not anymore though. It's 4 years
well,
now.
true. He's retired.
Yeah.
And so I think for that time, 17 years I've been with a company. Sorry,
HB.
24 with the husband, 17 with the company, and our son was born the first year I started. So I keep track of his age with how long I've been working.
Yeah. And you said Jonah, who is a young man now,
Yeah.
is away right now.
He is. He's in Japan. He got a study abroad. He got a slot with the Rotary Club.
Fantastic.
To do a year, though, a year. He couldn't even do like a summer and spare his mother's corazon. He left for a year.
But he's living his best life, I would imagine.
Of course he is. I mean, you're 17, you're in Japan. He is staying with a family. So
Sure.
it's not like he's roaming wild in Japan.
No.
But I think what is really great is the idea that, you can offer that to your kid. Whereas I was picking crops.
Picking onions and
next generation
like
is studying.
That's pretty
Japan.
good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Are you prepared to be an empty nester when that time comes?
I mean, I'm an empty nester now, if you think about it.
I mean,
right?
I guess. Yes, you're right.
Here.
He's not here.
So, no, I'm not prepared. I am a Mexican American mother. I will never let my son ever leave me. Sorry. No, I'm kidding.
No, he'll appreciate that later.
Maybe I've just ruined his love life forever by saying that. But no, I mean, it's a hard thing because he's an only child.
Sure.
So it's very hard for me to think about my daily life without seeing him. But I also think that with today's technology, we're going to have a better chance of being able to connect and see each other than I was with my family when I went to college, right?
My daughter's in Lubbock, and I feel like that's on the other side of the world sometimes.
Oh.
But we can FaceTime and talk, and you're exactly right. So that's fantastic stuff. Okay, so obviously you've been away from City Hall now for a little while. I don't think it's any secret that your husband has kind of put himself back out there, and it looks like he's not done with politics. So whenever that happens, are you ready for that again?
Well, the benefit of having done this for 12 years, 4 council, 8, with him being mayor, was that we got to establish a nice rhythm of his life and my life separate in terms of our work.
Right.
And then where we could support each other with regards to our life. And really, it's going to be new because the support really was brought together with our son, right? So we would always come back to ensure Jonah was great, that we had time with him, that we were always there to support him. And each other when we needed, but really a lot of energy was there. I think this time around, we'll probably be able to still maintain our boundaries with our jobs, but not having him break together, it's going to put the onus on us to make sure that we make time to come back together as Ron and Erika, right? Okay. Not just like Ron and Erika and Jonah. So I think that's going to be slightly different. Am I prepared for it? I mean, when you're married to someone who has found their love language in their terms of their career as public service, you just have to chalk it up to, it's their job. That's what they want to do. As long as he doesn't tell me how to sell groceries, I don't tell him how to do anything else. And we can live a copacetic life. But no one's ever ready. I don't think you could talk to any spouse of anyone who's had public service or an elected office and say, I expected blank, because this kind of lifestyle is ebb and flow with the policies and the opinions that your spouse, your partner has. And you've got to at least have the agility and the forgiveness for the most part, and the self-reflection to just be like, that's not my life. This is my life.
I know he's teaching at Trinity and everything, but it must be difficult. I mean, he's going to run for county judge.
I don't know. He's going to announce it soon.
Okay. If he does, I mean, some people are not nice sometimes, and you hear some terrible things about your husband.
In 12 years, I've heard terrible things.
You've just developed a resistance to that?
No, of course not. I'm a human being. I'm very protective of him. But I think what happens is, just like anything else, politics has become part show. Yeah. Part showmanship. And I think the element of I mean, you see it at the national level, right? The element of showmanship that people have to bring to that table to ensure that they put the points across. It varies depending on the public servant. It depends on the run. So what I've learned to do is understand, look, this is basically a job competition, if you think about it. 2 people competing for a job. Yeah. And it's just a lot more public, and you got to convince people. So I try not to take it personally. Now, here's the deal. For me, the line comes when you start to talk and get into like him as a father, him as a husband.
Personal.
Like that's my boundary. Like when you take it there as
Right.
opposed to his job and his job qualifications,
Sure.
that's where I'm like, oh no, let's not do
Yeah,
this,
let's
because
not
at
do
that point you do get me,
I get it.
right? Now, when you're doing it and it's about his job and his qualifications job, that's fair game,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
It's fair game.
I could see you as an elected official. Have you ever considered that?
You could not. No, not really. I think I have found a really great point in my life where I have a voice that I have confidence in. I didn't always have that as a younger person. And we just talked about a lot of the things that I was dealing with.
I can see why.
And a lot of the sort of singular focus I might have had on a career or on projects I was working on. I'm at a point now in my life where I feel very confident as a woman, as a Latina, as a member of the community,
Right.
and as someone that over the last 12 years has been able to really enter rooms through the title of First Lady.
Okay.
That I think that frees my voice up to be able to say some things or do some things that my husband couldn't.
Yeah.
Right? Because he has to work with everybody, and his voice has to adjust to ensure that he does the greater good for as many people as possible. With that comes compromise.
Yeah.
With that comes a different type of voice that I don't want to be necessarily shackled by. Right? So at this point, I don't see myself pursuing any kind of elected office. Also, it's just not my passion right now.
Okay. Fair enough.
Right?
Fair enough. I guess lastly,
Yeah.
if I were to come find you again in 10 years,
Oh,
what are the odds that you will or would have been First Lady of Texas, First Lady of the United States?
I am a First Lady of the United States. I am First Lady of Texas. I am First Lady of everything, because women are always the first. Women are always first to answer the call. I'm first, just like every other woman that's watching right here, because I do truly believe that this country cannot move forward without women. It excites me to see women ascend to leadership roles, because I think that puts us in, quite frankly, the positions to have the power outside that we have already inside. So
Okay.
I don't know if formally I would have the job.
Okay.
Right. But
Okay.
I feel like at this point, I think myself and everybody who's watching can claim the title of First Lady of the United States.
Fair enough.
Right.
We'll leave it right there.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to visit with you, and we could do another half hour, like I said, but I really appreciate
Thank
your time.
you. I think this is cool.
Thank you.
And
Well-
yeah, I love it.
Well, let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Okay.
10 years from now.
Well, God willing.
10 years from now.
God willing, I'll be
No.
here. Thank you.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
All right,
sir.
there's another episode of Pickup Lines. We always appreciate the conversations and the storytelling and everything. And until next time, I'm Ernie Zuniga. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.